Welcome back, friends. We are in my new studio, and today we are going to do tissue paper collage. 3 tissue paper collages with some recent jelly prints that I did. You might recognize these rubber band pickup sheets that I did and these prints that I made on dotted tissue paper. So also, if you stay to the end, I will show you a sneak peek of my tiny new studio. Let's get started. So I've selected some papers that I did very recently, like within the last month, I think. I love this one on the dotted tissue paper. At the time that I purchased this paper, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it, but it seemed to be perfect for these stencils that I used. And I really love, this color palette. It is my color palette, so I'm really drawn to this. And I especially love that little dot of black. So then I also did some rubber bands recently, and I'm going to some of the pickup sheets that I used on the Deli paper, I'm also going to use on this. Now, I had a few questions about the Deli paper. It is literally called Deli paper. It is not wax paper. And it is a little bit waxy, but not as waxy as wax paper. And there's obviously some different brands that might be more transparent than others. The one that I currently have is not very transparent if I'm laying it over something. But I thought, let's try it as a secondary piece of collage with just white in the background. So you'll see I'll be adding that in a minute. Now, this tissue paper was very delicate, and I started to tear it with my catalyst wedge, as you can see. So I don't know what I was thinking, but I repair it by adding some other layers of collage to it. One of the nice things about collage is it's very forgiving. You can just, fix whatever, little accidents happen. So I just found another piece, from another one of the papers, and I just patched it, and it looks fine. So here I'm going to bring in one of my pieces of Deli paper, and as you can see, it is a little bit transparent, but it's kind of when you lay it on top of something else, it looks a little milky. So if you're unhappy with that type of result, then don't use at least the brand that I bought, like a cheap one. I did not buy one of the ones on Amazon that come in a box. I'm going to try those next. I'll let you know how they turn out. But anyways, this is from the rubber band video that I did. That was my last video. If you haven't seen that, then check it out because it was a lot of fun. I'll put the link up in the corner. And also the Deli paper's a little more forgiving. I was able to get a little bit more aggressive with my catalyst wedge. I still was being very cautious not to tear the paper, but I was able to actually use it a little bit more to, get it down on that board. So I'm going to do 3 of them like this, slightly different. And I decided that one, besides the 2 kinds of paper that were going to be used on all 3, I wanted to have another element. So I love this blue paper that I made some time back, and I'm just cutting some random uneven circles. I'm not even being careful with this. I'm just randomly cutting, all about the same size though. And I like the odd shape. I don't want it to be perfect. Okay, so now I'm moving on to board number 2. And I slightly sped these up just so I wouldn't bore you, because a lot of this is repetitive. I always like to cut one end of the paper before I lay it down. But then, of course, I do have to worry about whether or not it's straight. So, not exactly straight, but we fix that later. You'll see what I do later. Here we go. It's not that much later, I guess. So I decide to add another piece. So I make like a strip, and I marked where, you know, that straight edge should be. And I overlap it a little bit as well. So once I get it into position, I double check to make sure that it's straight, and then add a little bit more gel medium on top. And now I'm going to glue my bottom piece. So I discovered after the first piece, with tissue paper and with deli paper, you really don't have to add any gel medium to the back. All you have to do is add it to the board, and then this paper is thin enough that it's absolutely fine. Sorry, I'm a little off camera here. The table's big enough. It's my camera is a little too close. We're going to fix that in the coming weeks. But anyway, so then I just add a little bit of gel medium on top, and it adheres perfectly. And I do like the texture, the added texture that the tissue paper and the wax paper, they kind of wrinkle and buckle a little bit. And I'm keeping that because when I add my gloss finish to the end, I think it's going to really show some nice texture in addition to the painted texture. So now on to board number 3. So I want them to sort of look similar but different. And they definitely, you know, I like a group of 3s, a series of 3. I think 3 little paintings hanging together will look really nice. And also they can be hung in different directions. So you could even change your mind each week which way you want to turn them. I think they're going to look really cute together, and it doesn't really matter if all the black areas are on the bottom or if you want to have them rotated. So on this third panel, I'm going to have a bigger black area with the rubber bands. So they're all going to relate to one another, but they're very different. And this one has nice big splashes of orange on it. And plus I think that colored piece had a little bit more color than the other two as well. Okay, so we'll get these 2 pieces glued down, then we can make some decisions. So in this case, I also cut a straight edge at the top, and that allows me to just, you know, line it up. Now, sometimes, as you saw, I leave the top overlapping and then I trim it from the back. There's no rhyme or reason why I do it one way or the other. It's whatever's completely convenient at the time. So this bottom piece will have to be trimmed on 3 sides. I'm loving that orange. And those were just cleanup sheets, you know, pickup sheets where I was trying to get, you know, the ghost. And I just love the way this looked as well, you know, the negative spaces and everything. And then the orange was, oh, I'll just pick it up with one of the old sheets. And and here I am using it. So we don't waste anything. We keep all of the papers and try very hard to keep them organized. Anyway, as you can see, I angle my blade in so that I get as close to the board as I can, and I trim off the extra pieces. You should always wait until it dries before you turn it over like this, because you don't want to like stick to the board or have your paper lift or anything like that. So I had just sewed these boards in with white because this paper was transparent and I wanted to be able to see white through it. But I'm not happy with the white sides, so probably before I absolutely finish these pieces, I will probably paint that another color or black, or it maybe even wrap some more paper around it. So as I say that, I'm thinking that those extra pieces of just the dots might be great on the sides. Unfortunately, I did not think about that when I was doing this, so I did not record that. But I think I will do that before I put any finishing coats on this, because I'm probably going to do like a polyacrylic or something, make it nice and glossy. So here are my 3 boards, and I'm thinking of putting in these random circles. And I'm thinking that maybe they all should be absolutely in the center so they kind of marry to each other, rather than, you know, my first thought is to, you know, have it split the 2 sections, but then that dot will go up and down, and I kind of like it all to be in the same spot. So then I decide that that little extra piece, that band of that little strip that I did between the other 2, I want to do on all 3. So I'm going to cut this piece into 3 little strips, and I'm going to add them. And I think it'll be just what it needed. Yeah, I knew I was going to flip that around. Much better. So you also have to make sure you have a really sharp blade when you're doing this, especially with tissue paper, because it'll just pull the paper. I love how that added that little bit of yellow. That piece had very little yellow in it. So with collage, even when you have a plan, your plan can sometimes change. And it's for a good thing. I mean, very seldom do I make a change that actually ruins it. It only, I think maybe that's happened once or twice, but most of the time the change is for the better at the moment. I just see something that's not exactly making me, you know, extremely happy or whatever, and I just feel like it needs something else. And usually it's because the colors are not, you know, I don't know. In this particular case, it just needed a different, you know, direction of color, I think I might say. So now I'm just putting in my circles. That part didn't change. I'm kind of eyeballing it and then double checking to make sure it's not too far off. If it's off by a 1/16 of an inch, I'm not going to be too upset, but I'm just trying to get it right in the middle of the board. And if all 3 of them have it in the middle of the board, then I think it ties it all together. So see what I mean? Like, as I turn these around, you know, I'm happy with them many ways. It's, I think probably if I end up keeping these, I'm going to just hang them with Velcro because that way they can be flipped around to my daily whim or whatever. I love that one that's very oblong. That's why I didn't, try to cut like a perfect circle. I just like the random shapes. Okay, so now we're finished. So I'll give you a little bit of a close-up. You can see that texture. I have to cut that piece off still. I'm waiting for it to dry more. So I'm really happy with these. They're kind of cute. I think they're, how many inches is that? 6 inches? Little 6-inch boards. Inexpensive, very lightweight. Haven't decided yet which way I like it. That particular one, I think I like that on the bottom. But I think one of them should be on the side. I don't know. Anyway. So as promised, here is my sneak peek. So as you come in, this is from the doorway. This is a very small room. It's only a 10 by 12, and I'm somehow managing to squeeze it all in. I don't have a lot of my artwork here yet. A lot of it is hanging elsewhere. I wish I had more space to hang, but I don't. This is where I'm going to be shooting my videos. I will be improving my camera and my lighting pretty soon, and that's my corner for painting on my easel, which is on wheels, so I could pull it out and I can use more of the space. But that's it. Tiny room. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm very pleased with the way these came out. I really wanted to do something with that tissue paper. I was very pleased with that particular jelly print session, and I wanted to incorporate it with something simpler. So because that's very busy, and then the rubber bands, these pickup sheets that I did with the rubber bands, I thought were just perfect. And luckily I could find them, because after this move, I have no idea where the good rubber band prints are. I've completely lost them. I'll find them eventually, but this move has been chaotic at best. Anyway, I guess I'll see you next time, and don't forget, create, inspire, and share. Take care. Bye-bye.